U.S.'s sixth largest port has suddenly shut down. With Baltimore and everything else going on, that's a big deal, friends. We also have the Northeast Emergency Gasoline Reserve is officially no more. The auction for all that gasoline is happening right now. We've got an update on what's going on down in Houston. We have shortages on onions, meat, antibiotics, and we got a report from the Netherlands on olive oil. That and more, let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over the world to let us know what's going on out there and so that we can share information with each other without going through the mainstream media. If you believe in this mission, friends, be part of it. Send in your reports. Send in information as you get information, right? On this video or any videos on this channel, just use the word update in your comment and that gets it to the right place. If you need to email me, you can email me at poplarpreparedness@gmail.com. And that will, if you need to withhold your name or if you just don't have an account to do Google with, that's your way of making that happen. All right, friends, I appreciate you guys doing this. As I've said on numerous occasions, or not too often recently, this is our practice, right? This is useful information that we're passing along, but we're also building our network so that we can share information that is not straight from the government, is not curated by others, that we can share with each other. And this is a network that will be useful in times of especially difficult times, right? We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts get into gold, silver, and platinum. Some of you guys have considered doing that with your retirement accounts. Maybe you just haven't decided to take the plunge. But they are they're still waiving setup fees, and you're not on board if you give them a call. You're not on board if you ask them some questions. They're going to see if it's right for you. And so there'll be a link at the end of the video for you to find out more from them. There's no obligation, friends, but just see if it's a good fit for you guys and see if you want to move everything over or some of it or whatever. All right, Raymond says, I live in Charleston and no one is talking about the ports being closed. Since Friday, they were supposed to be open on Monday, the 20th, and they ended up being only opening midday on the 21st. They were supposed to open yesterday morning, but they didn't open until midday still. They said it was a software glitch, but drivers were waiting around and could not do much of anything. So we've seen another port close down for multiple days because of a software glitch. Or was it a hack? That's a question for us all. Usually when it's a software glitch, they can just reset the system and it shouldn't take more than hours, right? It could shut down for part of a day. But the fact when it closed down on Friday and it wasn't able to be reopened on Monday on schedule, and then they couldn't reopen it on schedule on Tuesday morning, that just tells you something's going on there. And they may not be fully operational still. And like I said, Charleston is the sixth largest port by value of goods that come through it. We got Baltimore shut down. We almost lost the port of New York. There was that whole other ship that was on collision course for the bridge, but then they were able to, the tugboats were able to hold it long enough for some more tugboats to come out that were able to then secure the ship. But it was on course to take out the New York bridge, the Narrows Bridge. So that was a close call right there. How many more close calls do we just not know about? Because we have enemies out there that would like to bring the United States to our knees economically, and it's happening one thing after the next. So that's another port. Let's go over to Houston. Storm damage. We had over 1 million people lost power. They had major utility, high, what are they called? The big towers. They came down carrying the lines. So it's been a long way to get people back online. Poweroutage.us is saying that we still have about 73,000 people without power as of now in Texas. So not everybody's back online yet. Brandon says, picking up steel in East Houston. Mesa Drive, as well as tons of other streets, still shut down. Signs on the interstate say avoid downtown. It's a mess. Trees, signs, lots of stuff, and stoplights out in some places too. Now I did see reports from some of you others out there saying that some of your friends in Houston have their power back on. At no point did they lose water. We're not hearing reports out there that people have lost water. So that's good news, because once that happens, things go downhill pretty fast on that. So let's move over to the Northeast, where another natural disaster is happening, but this one because of the people in Washington, D.C. Yes, there are people, and we should still pray for them, but these politicians. So they approved, and the president has now carried out on selling off the entirety of the Northeast gasoline reserve. Now we're talking about 1 million gallons of gasoline. Now this was put up after Superstorm Sandy, where that came through and everyone's like, hey, maybe we won't be able to actually get gasoline up to the Northeast because gasoline isn't made in the Northeast, right? And has to be brought in by ship. It has to be brought up the pipelines, like the Colonial Pipeline, but the Colonial Pipeline only goes to New Jersey, which is where 900,000 gallons of gasoline sit in New Jersey at the end of the pipeline, so that in case something happens to the pipeline, they can still have gasoline to draw on, so people can still run their cars, emergency vehicles can still move around. So 900,000 gallons in New Jersey and 100,000 gallons of gasoline in Maine. So that's all being sold off, and they're accepting bids. So if you want a whole bunch of gasoline and you're up in that area, you can bid on the gasoline apparently. So, but shortly those tanks and all that gasoline will be liquidated, and there will not be that emergency reserve anymore. So we're just going to have to cross our fingers that nothing bad happens up in the New England and New York City and up, right? Now remember, like I said, this is Washington. This is not President Biden. This is President Biden and all the other people in Washington that went along with this big thing. This was Speaker Johnson's compromise. He orchestrated this compromise and allowed somebody to jam in there, someone who hates America, jam this thing in there. I mean, it's not that much money, but it sure would help in an emergency. So not only that, but the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is still half empty. Last June, we got down to the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, 50% empty. Drained 291 million barrels of oil out of it in order to win ballots and all that kind of stuff. So over the past 12 months, they've been refilling it. So they drew down 291 million barrels and they put back in 14. 14 million barrels over the last 12 months. So at this rate, it will be refilled in 20 years. Assumes the next 5 presidents don't have any foreign allegiances like this one does. The Biden administration has canceled orders for refilling the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, so they've canceled all bids for August and September. Wonder why? Wonder what's happening in October and November. What could possibly be happening then that they don't want the price of oil to go up during that time period? It's corruption. It is flagrant corruption. Grandma Snazzy says, Northeast Indiana here. Cannot find canned peas anywhere. Is this happening anywhere else? So is anyone else seeing issues with canned peas? Contessa in Ocala, Florida. Kroger delivery has not carried bags of sweet onions in over a year for delivery. If you order regular onions, they're always out of those too, but apparently they still have some of them. Lots of out of stocks, especially for meat products, it seems, through Kroger delivery. M. This is actually a question. So does freeze-dried or dehydrated food pass the safe temperature test? So we're talking about the bird flu. We're allowed to say that name at least. The bird flu. So does freeze-dried, make it safe? And the answer to that is no. Freeze-dried doesn't kill this, and neither does freezing, just regular freezing, or potentially dehydration doesn't do this either naturally. But oftentimes heat is used in the dehydration process, so let's get into that. We know the higher temp kills the virus, but is there a freezing temperature also? Would just putting it in the freezer work? So the answer is freeze-dried does not kill the virus, it just puts in dormancy. Same thing with just stuffing in your freezer. The bacteria and the viruses, they just get frozen. They just, when it melts, you pick up right where you left off. Freeze-dried like prepper beef. Now prepper beef that we were mentioning here, they actually have a sale going on through the end of Memorial Day. You can get off as much as 35% off freeze-dried meats, the big chunks of meat. I'll put it down in the comment section down below. But prepper beef does cook their meat before freezing it. So it is cooked before freezing, so it is safe from this. Others that pre-cook their beef are safe as well. Just check to see if your freeze-dried beef is pre-cooked. If it is, then you're good. If it's not, there are some that sell like frozen steaks out there. There's some specialty places like that. And then there's some places where you can get like raw beef, like ground beef, freeze-dried, or if people do it like in their homes. So if you have a freeze dryer and you stuff it in the freeze dryer, that does not kill viruses, okay? You need to actually get it up to temperature, and that kills viruses and bacteria, okay? So hopefully that answers all of that. Your home dehydrator. So if you have like a little trade dehydrator, you're making some beef jerky or whatever, these dehydrators, some specialty ones can be set as low as 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below freezing. So there's some specialty ones out there, but most of them can go up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So what you need to do is you just need to crank that thing up to maximum temperature and just let it do its thing. That will get the meat up to temperature. After it's been up at temperature for a while, you can crank it back down a little bit if you want to, but make sure it gets up internally, up above the 160 degrees in the center for it to be safe. That's what the U.S. Department of Agriculture is out there saying. Wins says Winco, the grocery store, now has robots deployed as well in some places. Now we've seen some of those cleaning robots out there. I don't know if you've seen those things. Sam's Club has it, like wandering around trying to run people over. I can see the AI inside of it going like, "Is it now time to attack?" And it's like, no, not yet. But it's getting ready. It's thinking about it. It's always kind of giving me that eye. But we've seen cleaning robots out there, but we haven't seen shelf stocking robots that I'm aware of yet. We saw some tests for shelf scanning robots, but not shelf stocking robots yet. Jackie says, my daughter had an abscess under her root canal. Dentist called in Amox chewable for her Walgreens. Got a text stating it would be delayed as out of stock. Called them and asked when it would be in, and they didn't know, and depends on the distributor whether it has it. Then asked if they would notify the prescriber, the person, right, and was told no, that if I wanted to. I said, they were saying they worked in healthcare for 30 years and never heard of a pharmacy not notifying the prescriber when a med is not available. Then I find out that they have the same strength available in suspension, so not a chewable, but a suspension, and they never offered that as an alternative. They're just like, we don't have it. They just looked at their list and said, this antibiotic, we don't have it, so no. Where's the options? Where's the substitutions? Where's the, this is medicine. This is not like somebody getting like their favorite, chewing gum, and it's just an inconvenience. No, this is like people have medical issues and they need to deal with stuff, right? Anyway, it did get filled, as I wasn't taking no for an answer, as she has also a congenital heart defect. Amoxicillin is one of the most common antibiotics we have, and moving all of our prescriptions now over to a locally owned pharmacy. Hopefully, so they can actually get talking to a live human being who actually cares about them. So amoxicillin, Bristol, Tennessee is the remaining one plant in all of the United States that makes it. All of the rest of it is made overseas in that country, yes. Now this plant went bankrupt in 2020, and they restarted it, but they are talking about shutting it down again. And that's the only place in the United States that antibiotic is made here in the U.S. So just kind of gives you an idea of kind of where we are with all the stuff. It's all made overseas. Colorado Pack Rat says, as an outside vendor, Walmart, almost all of my couple dozen stores have widened the aisles by removing some of the rows as well. Partially also so that the shelves look full. Hen says, about 6 weeks ago, I bought a 1-pint bottle of olive oil for $6. Now I have to pay over $10 for the same bottle. It's Italian extra virgin olive oil. So it used to be $6, now $10. I live in the Netherlands in Europe. I think it's more likely to be this price increase first here, not so far from Italy, than in the U.S. I fear that this will also reach the U.S. soon. And it's definitely reaching here already. So there's also a chance that it will be tampered with even more. D-Freak says, insider info from Western Oregon. Grocery store buyers got starry-eyed over the boom. So this is for the grocery stores themselves during the Big C. And they're continuing to make purchases as if the boom were still on. And lockdown bored people learning how to cook from scratch. Now these stores are stuck with all this inventory that nobody wants to buy. And they're struggling now to unload the excess items. This won't end well. Also, they chime in, reminder, home insurance often covers food loss during power outages. So friends, if you lost power and you lost a refrigerator full of stuff, check your home insurance policy. Or if you haven't had a storm yet, check your home insurance policy anyway and see if it does cover that. Michelle says, Walgreens in rural Arizona. Injured on a Friday evening, treated, released, doctor sends in pain script. Here it is Monday, and they still cannot fill a pain medication script. Fortunately, the person saved pills back from a surgery, or they would have suffered all weekend. This is from Michelle. Torn rotator cuff suspected. And this is what she's saying, not what I'm saying. Never take all the pills from a surgery injury. Save what you can for stuff like this. Of course, you should always follow the laws, right? Faye says, Yogi Organic Immune Support Tea recalled over 900,000 tea bags due to heavy pesticides. I thought they were organic. Gee whiz, who can we trust in the organic industry now as well? Lies, all lies. Once again, that's Yogi Organic Immune Support Tea. So if you got that on your shelf, might want to check to see if it's part of that recall. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining us and being a part of things. If you want to find out more information from Genesis Gold about what you can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.